Well, we're here in the AAMI studio during AAMI Sterilization Standards Week, Spring 2026, and we're sitting down with the two brand new co-chairs for the AAMI Sterilization Standards Committee, Ryan Ortega and Martell Winters. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me give you a little bit of time to introduce yourselves and a bit about your involvement with AAMI, your history with sterilization standards, and we'll get into some questions about what you see for the future.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start. My name's Ryan Ortega. I'm a regulatory policy advisor in the Office of Product Evaluation and Quality at the Center for Devices. I've been working in standards for about 8 years, and most of that has been spent on sterility and sterility-related standards.
Martell Winters. I work for Nelson Laboratories, and I realize in the opening plenary that I've been coming to any meetings now for 30 years. I think this month is 30 years,
It's amazing.
1996. And I'm a microbiologist by training and by practice. At Nelson Laboratories my entire career in a variety of positions there, but started off in bioburden testing and sterility testing and radiation sterilization for our customers.
All right. So you're both super experts, have a lot of history and standards, of course. And I won't call you a grizzled veteran, but you're a seasoned participant.
Okay.
And Ryan's still, very experienced, but
A little newer.
yeah. So I think you'll be a great pairing, and we're very lucky to have you. So thank you for taking on Sterilization Standards Committee. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the AAMI Sterilization Standards Committee and where exactly it fits in the ecosystem of medical device sector standards.
Sure. Um, Personally, I see the AAMI Sterilization Standards Committee as a real global leader and in both developing standards, but also in the strategy of sterility standards. I think it plays an important role in convening folks from a lot of different areas to work together and collaborate to develop standards for microbiological quality.
The only thing I'll add to that is on the individual side. So it gives us an opportunity to learn from each other, to interact with other industry experts. And I've got a lot of mentoring here over the years, and it's helped me to be a better employee and a better representative of the US when we talk about these internationally.
So let's talk a little bit about the impact that sterilization, sterility assurance, and microbiological quality standards, such as those developed through the AAMI Sterilization Standards Committee, have on the health priorities of the United States as well as for patient safety.
Sure. I think it's fair to say that infection control and prevention is really foundational to healthcare and to patient safety. And the sterility standards that we work on are themselves a cornerstone of that infection control and prevention. I think it's really important to always bring our minds back to the fact that these standards aren't happening in a vacuum. They are intended to ultimately help protect patients and assist the users who are delivering healthcare to patients. And that's one of the many reasons why, at CDRH, we devote so much resources into our participation in standards and collaborating with all of our different stakeholders in their development.
It gives me a lot of comfort to know that these standards, that the fact that I'm involved with these standards, I know the minimum requirements that they provide, at least provide this baseline that everyone is at least accomplishing to that level of understanding and that level of validation, for example, or that level of gathering data on the appropriateness of what's being done. And the fact that we're involved with that, it helps me to feel better that if everyone's meeting that minimum standard, then we're in good shape because I feel that the standards we're writing provide a really good minimum requirement for safety.
So really, doing it right and helping to impart that confidence in
Yeah.
healthcare delivery.
Mhm.
Yeah, super important. So let's talk a little about what is percolating in the AAMI Sterilization Standards Committee and across its working groups. So I hate to use the phrase "what's hot," but what's going on?
Yeah.
What activity would you like to highlight?
So much. There's almost too much to really cover everything, but there's definitely some highlights. There's a lot of interesting work going on with alternative modalities, with some of the TIR work being done there. The radiation working group is hugely active right now. They are just pumping out documents. So that's very interesting to see. There's a lot of interesting conversations going on around packaging and device specific conversations. And if you take a step back, there's a lot of really interesting big picture work going on too. I'm definitely hearing the whole idea of regulatory ready standards come up an awful lot. I think that there's a lot of renewed interest in being sure that the work product from the working groups and from AAMI as a whole has a strategic vision and a strategic direction. And there's a lot of focus also too on the interconnectivity of all of this work and all of these standards. So it's a really exciting time to be working in standards in general, but sterility standards in particular.
Absolutely.
The emphasis on the cleaning and re-sterilization of reusable products, that is so critical that we're looking at that so carefully now, and so many documents are coming out from those groups as well to ensure, again, this and to ensure this minimum safety, that it's much better than it has been in the past. A lot of good guidance documents and even requirements to ensure that these reusable products are being cleaned, they're being reprocessed in the best way possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful to see that standards are keeping pace with the technology and the innovation and reflecting real world practice and tackling what's going on both on the industry side of things and bringing in those regulatory perspectives as well as making things safer and easier to follow processes for end users in the clinical environment and healthcare delivery organizations. So, I want to talk a little bit about thought leadership. And there's been such a strong pipeline from the United States and our National Standards Development Program in sterilization standards up to ISO TC 198 sterilization of healthcare products. We've seen a lot of documents that originate in the US get elevated and ultimately go on to become international standards. What can we expect to see going forward? Will we continue to see more of that? Are there things that are kind of under development that we think will go forward?
It will definitely continue. Yes. I think that the ability of documents that we start here in the U.S. to be moved on to become ISO documents, I think that's really a factor of how effective AAMI is at getting people together and collaborating and discussing gaps, and then deciding, okay, there's a gap there. Let's write a document, and then we gather experience in the U.S. for several years to perhaps many years, and then eventually at the ISO level we say, hey, we have this document, and if we would use it in the US, it works really well, and they're usually really excited to adopt that. We found out, as example, ST72, the AAMI national standard on endotoxin testing, when we finally brought that up as an option for something to be moved into an ISO document, it turns out most of the world said, that's what we follow already. There's no other document around, and ST72 is so good that that's what they were following. So it made it easy to transition that into an ISO document. And there are other examples on the sterilization side. So we've got environmental monitoring is another thing. There's a lot of discussion right now on which environmental monitoring standards should be followed for terminally sterilized products, and there is not one that provides that level of detail. We have one here that we've used for 10 or 15 years, and it's worked out very well. So that's one of the up and coming documents that we intend to adopt over into the ISO arena.
Excellent. So helping to fill those gaps at the international level.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So just to wrap up, do you have a call for action or a call for participation that you want to send out to other US or international stakeholders, whether it's industry, regulatory, clinicians?
Yep, for sure. And from my perspective, a call to action would be incomplete without first a word of gratitude. And I am grateful for the opportunity that FDA has to participate in this collective exercise. I think well written, clear, understandable consensus documents benefit everybody. It's great for regulators, it's great for industry. Ultimately, and maybe most importantly, it's great for patients. So the call to action there is to continue to bring in as many voices as we can. I love that Amy is able to bring in regulators and users to have these conversations with industry, because it's been my experience that these consensus documents are strongest when everybody is able to provide input, when everybody has some visibility. So to people in all of the different stakeholder groups, the call to action is, please inform yourself, please continue to participate, or if you're considering participating, do. As many different voices as we can bring to the table, it's only going to make this work stronger.
Very good.
The we really benefit from having industry experts and industry becoming experts more involved in these documents as we develop these documents. In many cases, we have a handful of voices that are driving a significant portion of the work in a particular working group. And it can be a little bit intimidating maybe when you're first coming here, because you've got old people like me that are actively commenting and participating in discussions. But though the documents are only better when we have more people actively involved.
Mm.
So if you have a desire and if you have some good experience behind you, we would just ask, come and be part of this group. Help us write better standards both nationally and internationally.
I like that. So stronger together, better together, whether it's the voice of experience or newcomers and new perspectives.
Right.
Great. Well, thank you both so much. I look forward to the next 3 years of your term, right?
Yes.
Your
Yep.
first term
Yes. Thank
as
you.
co-chairs, and
Yes.
yeah, expecting great things from Sterilization Standards Committee and going on up to ISO.
Thank you. I'm
Sounds
excited.
great. Thank you.